We are live.
Good morning and welcome to the Social Services Committee for November 5th. Now, I will now call the meeting to order, but before we get started, I wanted to welcome Councillor Kyle joining us today. Welcome. And Clerk, has the roll been taken?
Through the chair, the roll has been taken.
Are there any declarations of conflict of interest this morning? Seeing none, I will now ask if any committee members have anything they wish to have separated for discussion purposes, noting that item 5.1 business plan for 389 West Street, Fox Ridge, is already separated as we have a presentation. Okay. Seeing none, can I get a mover and a seconder to place all of the items for consideration and consent on the floor? Councillor Sicoli and Councillor Bell, thank you.
The item subject to the vote, 6.1 updates to Ontario Work Social Assistance Service Delivery, and 6.2 the minutes from October 8th. All those in favor? Carried, thank you.
We have one presentation on the agenda today. Mary Musson, Commissioner of Community Services and Social Development, and Katie Maas, Director of Housing and Homelessness, item 5.1 business plan for 389 West Street, Brantford. I will now call on Mary Musson, Commissioner of Community Services and Social Development, and Katie Maas, Director of Housing and Homelessness, to make your presentation on 5.1 business plan on 389 West Street, Brantford, Fox Ridge. You have 10 minutes for your presentation, and questions will be held until the item is on the floor for discussion. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Katie Maas, and I am the Director of Housing and Homelessness with the City of Brantford. I am pleased to be here today to present the Housing and Homelessness Department's vision and business plan for 389 West Street, also known as Fox Ridge. The business plan includes a strategic response to Brantford's growing housing and homelessness challenges. Over the past 5 years, the local homelessness serving system has undergone continuous improvements and adjustments to address local needs, system pressures, and limitations, while meeting mandated program goals set by federal and provincial funding streams and the Brantford Brant Housing Stability Plan. Staff have worked to implement incremental changes aimed at shifting the system towards strategic, data-driven interventions. However, significant gaps remain. The emergency shelter system is under considerable strain, with shelters operating at or above capacity and lacking appropriate spaces for families, couples, and individuals with complex needs. Providers are increasingly supporting clients with high acuity and multiple challenges. These systemic issues result in people remaining in emergency shelters for extended periods or being placed in costly temporary options such as motels that fail to meet their needs. Without adequate outflow into appropriate housing, emergency shelter beds remain occupied, reducing availability for crisis situations and increasing the risk of institutionalization for individuals. In March of 2024, Sienna Senior Living hired a real estate professional to handle the advertising and sale of the property known as 389 West Street. At the special City Council meeting in August 2024, by way of in-camera report 2024-487, staff were authorized to proceed with the acquisition and first stage renovations of 389 West Street. The acquisition of 389 West Street is an investment in short and long-range planning for temporary and permanent housing options within the City of Brantford. The vision for this property is to develop the existing building and land for various temporary and permanent housing options along the continuum, prioritizing greatest community need to fully realize the potential of the property. This 4.82 acre property offers adaptable space for emergency shelter, transitional and supportive housing, centralized services, streamlined maintenance, and cost savings. The site also allows for future development of transitional and permanent housing, utilizing modular construction, which aligns with federal and provincial funding priorities. This drawing illustrates the potential layout of purpose-built permanent housing, which is highlighted in orange, the existing Fox Ridge facility, which is dark gray, and dispersed parking throughout the existing site in blue. For new permanent housing development, staff will report back to Social Services Committee upon the completion of developmental concepts to provide recommendations for committee's consideration and to request approval to proceed. The acquisition of 389 West Street is an investment in temporary and long-term housing solutions. The vision for this property is to develop the existing building and land for various options, utilizing a phased approach. Current systemic pressures emphasize the importance of creating an emergency sheltering system that promotes flow-through to permanent spaces where people can exit to stable housing, helping to prevent prolonged stays in shelters and encampments. To address these challenges, the plan for Fox Ridge includes 3 key components. Emergency housing for immediate short-term needs that will fill existing gaps in the system. Transitional and supportive housing to help people heal, stabilize, and to provide support to those who require ongoing housing stability assistance. And permanent affordable housing development. This model is flexible and inclusive, ensuring that Fox Ridge will meet the needs of different household types and provide a clear pathway out of homelessness based on the needs of the community. Given the anticipated partial occupancy by Six Nations of the Grand River Long-Term Care, Phase 2 and Phase 3 of the renovations and development plan may proceed in either sequence. If the current use of the space prevents Phase 2 renovations from starting, Phase 3 focused on permanent housing development will be initiated first. Addressing homelessness requires system-wide collaboration. No single organization or level of government can tackle this issue alone. A coordinated approach ensures responses are comprehensive, efficient, and aligned with community need. Initial consultations with community partners show strong support for collaboration at the Fox Ridge site. Staff will continue engagement through existing tables such as Coordinated Access, the City of Brantford Encampment Network, the Community Advisory Board, housing providers, and local Indigenous and other community partners. Multiple opportunities for public participation will be offered throughout planning and development, including public information sessions where residents can review the site plan, ask questions, and receive updates on timelines and impacts. Community feedback confirms the need for a housing hub model, a campus of well-being with embedded services. Programming at Fox Ridge will focus on a continuum of housing from emergency to permanent solutions, prioritizing vulnerable groups, including families, couples, and individuals with complex needs, safe, inclusive, trauma-informed, and accessible programming, and an emphasis on addressing root causes to support long-term stability. To address service delivery, staff recommend a hybrid service delivery model. This approach combines municipal leadership with community expertise to create a system that's efficient, coordinated, and client-focused. The municipality will manage the big picture elements, such as capital and building operations to keep facilities safe and sustainable, system oversight and coordination so providers work together, data and performance monitoring to track outcomes and drive improvement, policy direction to align with housing strategies and legislation. Community agencies will lead frontline services, such as intake and shelter, outreach and housing support, wraparound programs like mental health, addictions, and wellness planning. The strength of this model is partnership. The municipality provides structure and accountability, while agencies bring specialized knowledge and direct client engagement. Together, we create a system that is responsive, coordinated, and aligned with local, provincial, and federal housing goals. On October 30th, 2025, the City of Brantford took possession of Fox Ridge, and staff are currently assessing the space. Initial renovations will commence as soon as possible to prepare for Six Nations long-term care residents to occupy a section of the building on or around January 1st, 2026. By April of 2026, staff intend to commence further renovations of Phase 1. Staff aim to have the emergency shelter portion of Fox Ridge operational on or around October 1st, 2026. Thank you, Social Services Committee, for your time and for supporting us to explore solutions that strengthen housing stability and address homelessness in our community.
Thank you for your presentation. We'll be discussing this item shortly. The committee will now consider items that were separated for discussion purposes. Can I get a mover and a seconder to place all separated items on the floor, please? Councillor Oakley and Councillor Sluss, perfect. All right, any discussion? Okay. Councillor Miller, go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. And my Zoom, my connection's not the best, and I don't know if you can hear me or not. My question is, when all is said and done, and we're looking at 2027, we're looking at $1.8 million.
Could you repeat that? We only heard a portion of what you were saying. Sorry.
Remote.
Councillor Miller, if you can hear us, we're going to move to Councillor Carpenter. Oh, go ahead, Councillor Miller. If you can try again, go ahead. Councillor Miller, you're muted. Oh. Okay, we're gonna move on to Councillor Carpenter and then we'll circle back if Councillor Miller gets connection there. Go ahead, Councillor Carpenter, please.
Okay, thanks to staff. So the long-term care home, how much will it take up half the beds or a third of the beds?
Good morning, Mary Musson, Commissioner of Community Services and Social Development, and through the chair. Right now, they are looking at approximately 50 single rooms for their residents. So it would take up approximately a third of the space.
Okay, when will this plan be shared with the neighbors? Or has it already been sent to the neighbors?
So through the chair, we do have the Director of Communications online who can further elaborate on a communication strategy, but we do have a very fulsome communication strategy that will include appropriate engagement with the public and especially with the neighbors in the surrounding community, as well as the ward councillors.
Thanks, Mary. Through the chair, Maria Visaki, Director of Communications, Community Engagement, and Customer Service. As outlined in the presentation, as well as the report, we are going to provide a number of in-person opportunities where we do targeted outreach to residents within the neighborhood. We're also going to provide a digital education hub on Let's Talk Brantford, where people can see the construction plans. We'll include a timeline. We'll also have an FAQ and an opportunity to ask questions of the project team. So we'll use the questions tool as well so that we can answer any questions in real time that residents have. But we do think it is important to ensure that the ward councillors are engaged in any in-person opportunities that we provide for residents to come and see the plans and ask questions and tell us any concerns.
So where will this take place? We have there's a meeting rooms at Fox Ridge, so that would be the most appropriate place for the surrounding residents to meet. Is that something that's going to be made available so that we could have a president? Because we're doing this after we've approved all this. We're going to talk to the residents after we've said yes to everything. That doesn't seem to be communication. That seems to be telling them what we have already approved, what we're doing, as opposed to what do they think.
Well, through the chair, there will be opportunities to make any kinds of adjustments based on what we hear from the residents and to address their concerns, whatever they may be. We followed a very similar process when we opened 177 Colburn, where we did targeted outreach and residents were invited to a tour and an open house, and the dialogue was very constructive and productive. And I think that process was managed very well. And I think we could replicate that here.
Okay, and for back to staff then, when you talk about renovations of the property, are we planning on fencing the property? How are we going to secure the property?
So through the chair, yes, we are looking at fencing amongst many other renovations. We've just received a list of deficiencies from the fire department that we are going to be correcting immediately before residents of Six Nations of the Grand River move in. But we are also looking at the external property. So we are looking at trees that might need to be cut down because they are dead or might be causing a hazard. We are definitely looking at fencing. We are looking at appropriate parking. So we are definitely looking at the needs of the surrounding community, not just Fox Ridge itself.
Now, the managing of the facility, we're going to have 24/7 security on site?
Through the chair, 24/7 security has been on site since October 30th when the city took possession.
And that's going to continue throughout the project and throughout the management of the facility?
Yes, it will actually be enhanced as more residents move in.
Okay, thank you. And Madam Chair, I have an amendment before we're done. Thank you.
Okay, I'll come back to you. Go ahead, Councillor Slass.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Do we have a contract with Six Nations yet?
So through this chair, the Office of the CAO is working with the lease agreement with regards to Six Nations of the Grand River, so it's in process.
Is the short answer no?
The short answer is not yet.
Okay, thank you. When it's completely renovated, how many shelter beds will there be?
So through the chair, right now we're estimating just for the phase one is we're looking at approximately 50 beds for phase one development, which will include families and vulnerable populations such as single parent families and people with complex medical needs.
When fully renovated, will that allow us to cease operation at other shelters?
Through the chair, we're not quite sure as of yet because the data will have to really speak to whether or not that will be possible because we are experiencing an increase in homelessness annually. Like we're over 600 known people experiencing homelessness according to by name list data. So what ideally this will turn into is a hub of well-being. However, we cannot end contracts if that there is still a community need.
Okay. Then lastly, for me, in your chart, in the orange, you had future affordable housing units. Have you gotten to the level of detail that you know what that number would be?
Through the chair, we don't have a final number, but right now with very preliminary drawings, we are estimating anywhere from 72 to 144 units could be built on the property with medium density, approximately 6 stories.
6 stories?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Before we move on, I'm just going to circle back and see if Councillor Miller is able to ask his comments now.
Okay. No preamble. Will we be looking at a $1.8 million increase to the 2027 social services budget?
So through the chair, the short answer is yes, but with a caveat. The 2 operating budgets that are presented today are notional, and staff are going to be doing their due diligence throughout the last quarter of 2025 and at the beginning of 2026 to come up with a much more fulsome budget. The first budget is for building operations and maintenance. That is currently costed at approximately 1.8 million. That will be added to the shared social services budget, and it will be a necessary increase. The approximately 1.7 1.7 million that we are estimating currently for service delivery is going to be a realignment of the housing stability budget, primarily of the provincial and federal grant funding streams. So the homelessness prevention program and the Reaching Home program. So with that, we are anticipating minimal impact to the municipal tax levy because it will be realigned from existing budget lines.
Okay, I'm gonna write that down, Mary, and we'll see what happens in 2027. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor McCreary, go ahead, please.
Chair, thank you, and through you to staff. Maria, are you still on?
Yes.
There was an inquiry earlier about how we're going to communicate to the public. Can you confirm that we will be following our new public consultation policy?
Through the chair, yes, certainly we can look at the framework that has been approved by the task force and council. The updated community involvement framework will come before council probably in Q1 of 2026, which is the more robust document with the step-by-step guidelines. But most certainly we will use the current framework as reference to ensure that we're using every single channel that the city has to do outreach and provide information, education, and opportunities to provide feedback on this.
Could you remind me if that was unanimously approved by this council, Brantford City Council, rather?
It was, yes.
Thank you for that. So again, through you to staff, Mary, 5 years ago stats point in time count was a couple of hundred people.
Sorry, which year are you referencing?
Going back about 5 years, we had about 200 people generally per year.
Yeah, that is correct. If we go back to the point in time count, we had roughly 100 to 200 people a few years ago. We're now at over 600 people as of September 30th.
So it's quite a growth industry.
That is true.
So 1.8 million is going to be the operating cost for the structure, including some new staff that we have to hire. 1.8 million is something you're going to tinker with in terms of your internal budget, how you provide delivery of service.
That is correct.
Okay, so I've got to think that some of the 1.8 million that we'll be expending on this building, we will be saving with respect to the money that we currently expend buying motel rooms. Is that reasonable to assume?
No, the motel rooms are factored into the 1.7 million service delivery cost.
Okay.
So the amount of money that's being spent annually on motels will be realigned to support operations at Fox Ridge for service delivery.
So that has been factored in.
That has been, yes.
Okay, so there's no further saving with respect to not renting rooms.
No, there is.
So if we're looking at I guess 3.6 million divided by 50 people, that's quite a per capita expenditure, isn't it?
That is, and so that one of the major resources that we will require at Fox Ridge is a diversion worker who will help move people from homelessness into more appropriate permanent housing so that there's a system flow through.
Sure, okay. Now, have you determined yet what our monthly revenue is going to be from Six Nations?
I have not yet. The Office of the CAO is working on that.
It's going to be like they're going to lease it from us, or we're going to charge per resident, do you know?
It will be a lease through square footage.
Okay. So are we going to be providing outreach with respect to on-site drug and addiction counseling?
The goal is that we will have community partners who will be able to come to Fox Ridge to offer those supports, including mental health and well-being, addictions counseling, or set up the community pathways so that they have a seamless access to it with other community providers.
Is this going to be a zero tolerance facility to make sure our staff and our third-party providers are fully protected?
Yes, so what we are looking at is the same customer code of conduct that other city facilities have. So because it is a city facility, everyone will have to abide by the customer and staff code of conduct.
So no guns, no needles, no atom bombs?
I hope
that's gonna
not.
Risk life and limb. Okay, good. Have you given consideration to providing food service there?
Food services is one of the major considerations. There is a full commercial kitchen on site. So as part of the service delivery model, we will be working with whomever the successful proponent is for service delivery to ensure that food services are happening.
Now, everybody that comes through those doors is going to be eligible either for OW or ODSP as part of our program to ensure that those folks have an income?
Yeah, so we will be working very closely with the Family and Income Stability Division as well as the Ontario Disability Support Program. Ideally, we hope that there will be co-location of these services so folks can access OW or ODSP. It's really important to note that not everyone will be qualifying for social assistance, so we will also try and provide system navigation to other services such as employment insurance and Canada Pension Plan.
So some shelters manage that money for the clients, and some of them take a portion of that as room and board. Does that factor into our plans?
So through the chair, for the Ontario Works Act, we don't charge anymore for room and board if someone moves into a shelter. However, their income would be adjusted appropriately and shelter costs would be removed from their basic needs until they find appropriate places to move. We are looking at transitional units within Foxridge as well, which would be very similar to entering into a lease agreement. However, it's an occupancy agreement. In those cases, we would be charging rental revenue, and it could be through social assistance.
Yeah, excellent. What a huge body of work that you folks have accomplished in a short period of time. This really is a game changer. It's also going to be a game changer for our tax rate, I think. Is there any sort of an estimate in terms of what this is going to mean to the residential taxpayer?
Unfortunately, no, not as of yet. However, once we start working on the 2027 budget, we should have a more fulsome idea of what the impact will be.
Good show. Thank you very much for this.
Councillor Oakley, go ahead, please.
Through the chair, I appreciate the speaking opportunity. I actually don't have a question. I was just queued up to ask Councillor Miller's question on his behalf, just in case connection is short and resolved. So thank you. I appreciate the time.
Okay, any more speakers on the amendment before we move on, or on the, yes, on the full motion before we go to the amendments, sorry. Okay, Councillor Carpenter, we'll come to you for your amendment then.
Yes, I'd like to have item D in there, and that staff arrange a public meeting with the area residents in the fourth quarter 2025 to explain and receive feedback.
And your seconder?
Well, whoever would like to second it.
Councillor Sless is your seconder.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Councillor Sless. Speaking to it, it's just important that this is going to be a big change for the neighborhood. It's going to have quite a big impact on the neighborhood, and they should understand it fully and understand how secure it's going to be and how it's going to be managed, so that they have some confidence in what you're talking about, putting shelter behind people's homes. So it's important that all the ownership of all the homes that surround it and the area residents are brought in for a public meeting, and we can have the meeting on site right there at Foxridge. There's plenty of space, and there's meeting rooms there where we can make that all work. So I'd like to have that by this quarter. Thank you.
Any further speakers to the amendment? Councillor McCurry, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. Through you to staff. Maria, does that suit your time frame?
Through the chair, as long as the space is available to us and suitable for a public meeting, we can work to get that underway and happen. We got to get on it very quickly, but yes, it's achievable.
Thank you for that. And staff, is that space appropriate for a public meeting as it stands?
Yep, through the chair, there is ample public space where we can set up so that the community residents can actually get a physical view of the property as well.
Super. I'm happy to support this, given those answers.
Councillor Scully, go ahead, please.
Yes, I'll also support this. I don't imagine we'll have any surprises, since I'm pretty sure Councillor Carpenter said that he knocked on the doors of all the neighbors and everybody seemed pretty supportive when we discussed this last at council. But I will be supporting this, and I'm curious for staff, will we be having any conversation about expanding on the land with the public at this time and what they would like to see there?
Through the chair, we can definitely have those conversations. It's very early on, but we are always open to hearing the community's feedback.
Okay, it might be worth having those conversations. Now I know the ward counselor is a huge proponent for putting in tiny homes and stuff, so maybe it's worth having that conversation.
Sorry, we're just speaking to the amendment.
Sure. I'll be supporting it.
I'm gonna go to Counselor Miller next with the amendment.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. If the amendment is successful, I would simply ask that all social service members be circulated on when it is, so we can have the option of attending.
Perfect. And now I have Counselor Sless.
Thank you. Yeah, and just along the lines of Councillor Miller, I think it would be helpful for the committee to have a tour as well. So perhaps that could be arranged at the same time as this public meeting is being held, and I think that would get everything done in one evening.
That should be no problem.
Okay, thank you.
Counselor Oakley? Oh, sorry. Okay, then I'm coming back to Counselor McCurry then for a second time.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. I presume that Maria, through you to Maria, rather, I presume we'll be circulating with respect to the radius we do for planning matters.
Through the chair, yes, that's correct. We'll use those guidelines.
And could we please be sure to notify the owner of the apartment building currently under construction so that they may wish to notify their buyers? Thank you.
Counselor Carpenter, second time on the amendment.
Yeah, I just want to highlight some comments that were attributed to me. When we talked to the neighbors 4 years ago, it was a very different plan than what's before us today. So the neighbors need to have a conversation about what is actually going in there and what the long-term plans are for the facility. It's not what we talked about when we knocked on the doors. Thank you.
All right, with that, I'll just make a comment that I'm always pleased to have more consultation, and all of the ideas from everybody sound really good about having a tour and everything, and I look forward to supporting this. And with that, I don't see any further speakers on the amendment itself, so we'll call the vote.
All those in favor of the amendment? That carried, thank you.
All right, any discussion on the item as amended? Perfect. So just to that, I would just say that I'm pleased to see this come forward today. I think it's going to really fill a need in our community and give us some opportunities to serve families and individuals that maybe don't fit within our current shelter system and the wraparound support. So I just wanted to thank staff for their presentation and their work on this and look forward to it. And with that, we'll call the vote.
All those in favor of item 5.1 as amended? Carried.
All right, with that, there are no resolutions, no notices of motion, and so I'll call Social Services Committee adjourned. Thank you.